Hello, I'm Rob Comber and welcome to PLMR's Week Ahead in Westminster. With the general election nearing ever closer, we're looking at how different parties and different politicians from across the country are preparing for it. Today I'm in the office of Andrew George. He's the Liberal Democrat MP for St Ives in Cornwall. So Andrew, the general election campaign is very much in full swing now. Do you find it difficult being here in Westminster when your constituency, is down in Cornwall?
No, I mean obviously as a local MP, I've got a job to do. The issue really is getting all of the campaigns and the issues and my constituents' concerns resolved by the time Parliament prorogues. Yes, I'm aware that there are aspirant candidates who may be standing against me in April, perhaps becoming very, very active, and that's for them. But I've got a job to do up until that point. So no, I'm not engaged in any general election campaign until April commences.
You've been an MP since 1997. The Lib Dems, their popularity in the polls has slipped slightly over the last few years since the party's been in government. I know at the last election in your constituency it was quite close with the Tory candidate. Do you think that you're concerned about the safety of your seat this year more than before?
Well, let's see what the electorate have to say. I mean, obviously, for the Liberal Democrats going into coalition with our mortal enemies was bound to end up both toxifying, I think, the Liberal Democrat brand, and I think that perhaps the way in which the party has perhaps handled some of the decisions we've taken, wasn't as I might have, if you like, advised the leadership. Hence my rather, a record of independent-mindedness. But nevertheless, I think that whilst we've toxified ourselves, and yes, the Tories have gained or rather benefited from their association with a nice party. I think that overall, the electorate is capable of being able to distinguish between those politicians. I hope those politicians which they perceive to have done a good job, irrespective of the nonsense of tribal politics, and perhaps respond according to that rather than as I say, the Punch and Judy show.
From what you've seen, does the party's popularity on a national level kind of play out on a local level?
Not really. I mean, I think some people who take a rather superficial view perhaps do fall into the trap of perhaps not thinking rather deeply about it, or deeply enough about it, and understanding, the nature of the kind of reality of the political situation in the West Cornwall and Isles of Scilly constituency. So, nevertheless, some people, are affected by national swings. I mean, if everywhere we're affected by national swings, would have the same result in every constituency.
Local campaigning has often been regarded as one of the Lib Dems' strengths.
Yeah.
What makes it different from other parties, do you think?
I don't think it necessarily is. I mean, I think that in a constituency like mine, we're rather different to some other Liberal Democrat constituencies where there is if you like, local focused teams in a suburban area constantly putting out leaflets. I mean, we're a party that perhaps goes into hibernation for about 4 years. Until the next general election, because most people, don't want to have party politics thrust down their throats, in an area like mine on a constant, basis. What I think people are interested in is they're interested in local issues, they're interested in international issues and national issues, but they aren't, necessarily interested in the kind of Punch and Judy show that is played out every, Wednesday midday, in Prime Minister's Questions, which I think that too many politicians perhaps think that's the kind of diet that the public want, but I'm not sure that that's always the case.
You have been an MP since 1997 for a number of years. Yeah. You've fought numerous general elections. What is the secret to your success?
I wouldn't necessarily. I don't know. If I knew it, then I might not be able to replicate it. But I mean, all I try to do, is to do what I think is the right thing, and then to explain that to the electorate. I mean, the problem is if you always just do what is considered to be the popular thing, and you're simply playing a populist card. I mean, I'd find that difficult to explain. But I think so long as you stick by your values, explain your values to people, and justify them through thick and thin, it's not so much winning, if you like, the support of the local electorate in an area like mine. I think it's also winning their respect as well, because whilst you can't please all the people all the time, what I do think most people recognise is that they want to have a politician who they can rely on to be consistent and not to go with whichever the way the wind blows. So when they say they'll do something, they'll carry it through.
Lastly, Andrew, the general election is obviously very, very near. What do you think the key issues for voters? What do you think the key issues for voters will be?
I think that the theme which actually the party has established, which is this getting this clear balance between strong economy and fiscal responsibility, but also a fair society, I think is actually a message which, although it's rather complex in the detail that has to be rolled out, I think is really very important, because whilst the Conservatives might want to I think look after their own people and cut public spending much deeper and faster than we would want to go in that direction. Getting that balance right and restoring the public finances as quickly as possible, whilst at the same time making sure that we engage in progressive taxation and advancing the kind of policies which we've been pushing, I think is really very important in the broad brush approach, if you like. But also in an area like mine, affordable homes is really very, very important. There's a big challenge there. I think protecting public services like the NHS, which I think a lot of people are still very worried about. We need to make sure and reassure people that we're putting patients before profit, and there's a whole set of other issues within the public domain, many of which I've been campaigning on for years.
What do you think is the number one priority for people in your constituency?
I think at the moment, I think concern about the stability of family life, and if you're looking at the things that are destabilising family life, then affordable homes is certainly a very, very significant issue. I mean, we live in an area where although the housing stock has doubled in the last 40 years, the housing problems of locals have got significantly worse. We've got a lot more second homes and a lot more people on housing waiting lists. And the private rented sector is extortionate and rather poor in quality. So actually finding, it's not easy to find, there's no magic wand to find solutions to these issues, but we know what the component parts of that solution are, and I'm not sure that the proposals, in fact, of either of the last two governments have been particularly helpful, and so actually advancing the case on behalf of areas like mine that are really struggling, I have to say, to find decent, affordable homes for hard-working local families, I think is certainly a very high priority for me.
Andrew George, thank you very much. Thank you. And ahead of the general election, we'll be speaking to plenty of other MPs, candidates and influential people. For all our political insight, you can head to our website, plmr.co.uk.